Well, folks, most people are used to flying RC planes from a controller and looking in the sky. Well, these guys have developed a new system. It's been around for a while, but it's new to Canada. And they put goggles on and they fly around through the first-person view. Let's go join them on the field. Hey, good morning, Canada. I'm here today with Mike Deepham. Nice to meet you, Mike. Mike, tell me all about this club, because I find this really unique. You were telling me over the phone that you guys actually fly these without actually looking at them with the controls. You wear goggles?
Other than the takeoff, we fly everything with goggles. We don't ever watch the line of sight of the plane. We have cameras with transmitters that are on the plane. They come back to receivers and some goggles that we have on the ground, and that's how we fly, just like you're in the plane.
These planes look a lot different. I mean, this is a flying wing.
It's not a new idea. The Delta Wing has been around for decades, but they've really been perfected for FPV. FPV is first-person view. It just means flying the plane as if you were in the plane from the view of the cockpit. The core essential pieces that you need is a camera, you need the transmitter on the plane, and you need a receiver and of course something to watch it on, whether you use goggles or you can use a small screen. Some people use a laptop. We have a separate camera up front, and the GoPro is just there to get nice high-definition video when we're flying.
Oh, okay. And that's the actual camera there.
Yeah, it's just a tiny little security camera.
So here's the unit. Now that looks quite complicated. Tell me about it a little bit. I mean, I've never seen anything like this in RC before.
Okay, so this one is a little more complicated, it's a little more advanced, but it does have the basic components we were talking about. This right here is one of the receivers, just with a standard Omni antenna. This would be all that you need on the ground, along with, in this case, goggles to fly with. The rest of the stuff is extras that we use for the more advanced flying.
So he'd actually pick up these goggles, put them on, and look through it while he's flying after the takeoff, after the initial takeoff.
In fact, you can do it with the takeoff, we just prefer not to.
Safety reasons, I take it you don't want to crash or anything from the beginning. Now, what is all this down here?
Okay, this is a diversity system, and what it does is we have two antennas. One of them is an Omni antenna that goes all around. The other one is a directional antenna that has a beam that goes out. This tells you...
where would that one be, in the front here?
Yeah, it's in the front here and it's kind of pointing out. What the diversity does is it picks up which one of the antennas is getting the best signal and puts that through the goggles so that you can see. Some of these goggles have a pan and tilt system built into it. So you can put a pan and tilt on your camera so that when you're going, you want to look around the corner, you turn your head and the camera moves with you. It is fantastic. The basic setup that we talked about with the camera and the transmitter on the plane, the receiver here on the ground, that we're talking about $100, $150. Once you get into the rest of the gear, you're probably talking more, closer to $1,000. But now we're talking about a luxury system. You have on-screen display that's giving you your altitude and your airspeed and your distance away and how many volts left in your battery packs. I mean, you're talking about the full kit here.
You guys have helis too.
We have quads, we have multicopters, we have helicopters, and we do some RC cars as well. It's definitely advancing very quickly. Stuff that we had 2 years ago has now become outdated and no one wants to touch anymore.
Jordy.
Okay, so these are Fat Shark goggles. You can fly FPV with a screen, but to get real immersion, you got to use goggles. It's the only way to go.
Well, Mike, now that we've seen the goggles, right, why don't you get a plane up in the air and we actually see what it's like to fly?
So inside you've got your standard plane stuff. I've got a receiver over here. I've got my ESC over here, the speed controller. I also have a GPS reader here. I've got my video transmitter. And there's also one little device in here that's the on-screen display system and also the autopilot built into this board. If I run into any problem where I lose video or if I lose control, the system picks that up in the fail-safe and actually flies the plane back here, and it will just circle overhead either till it runs out of battery or until I get...
Until you actually get command back and bring it back down.
Exactly. Okay, all set? It's absolutely easier to fly FPV. The only reason we tell people to learn line of sight first is because eventually you're going to run into a problem and you need to be able to save yourself when you're in trouble.
Okay folks, it just goes to show you how RC has grown leaps and bounds in the last few years. If you want to hook up, even if you're a regular flyer, right, or you're an expert or you're just a beginner, talk to Mike. And Mike, where can they get a hold of you
At basement-rc.com.
And there you go, folks. Take care, Canada.